Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I'm glad you're along. You're going to learn a lot, and we're going to have a lot of fun today, which is always a good thing on a podcast, whether you're watching on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever else. We're really glad you're tuned in with us today, and we're super excited to have you along. We've got some really awesome recent reviews, so we appreciate those at iTunes. And for everybody who's leaving comments in YouTube and sharing our content, you guys are all rock stars, and we're good to have you along today. So I got my guest today is Madelyn Peay, where we always say it's always payday, which is great for real estate. We're just going to have fun today, guys. And we're going to talk about house hacking and how to get started and how to do that, along with what she does now and all of the above. So Madelyn, welcome to my podcast. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this discussion.
So let's hop in our DeLorean and go back in time a little bit. You're still young, but go back to like, where did you grow up, and how did you like take the path that led you into real estate to begin with?
Oh, that's a good question. So let's see. I'm 39 now. So if I back into the archives, I got into this at Old Dominion University when I was a young, ripe age of about, 18, 19 years old. And I had a boyfriend who was just as wide-eyed and optimistic as me.
Awesome.
And so we were watching Carlton Sheets.
Oh, good one.
On the television, and one day, and we said, you know what? Let's try to do this. Let's try to get into real estate. And so that's actually where the journey started. Of course, we were young and naive, so we linked up with a couple of bad actors, did a couple bad deals, and did some good ones too.
So did I.
And so, fast forward, I graduated from Old Dominion University. I was recruited with UPS to be an account executive. I did that for a year and realized, that's not my thing. I'm a housing girl. And so I went on to join PRG Real Estate Group and become a property manager for them, and did some other work for them as well. And that's really where my housing career sort of blossomed.
So you guys were in college at ODU. Did you grow up in Central Virginia, or where did you grow up?
I grew up in Chesterfield County. I spent a lot of time there. I spent a couple years in Seattle, but mainly in Chesterfield.
So you grew up in Chesterfield. You go off to ODU, and while you're at ODU, taking college courses from professors, you see this guy named Carlton Sheets on television.
Absolutely.
He's the one who really gave you that deep desire that you could do it. And Carlton really had a big impact on a lot of people.
Yes.
So were you like watching like late night TV while you were in college, or how did that work?
Yeah, actually I was. I was watching late night TV and, looking for some opportunities, and had already kind of been thinking real estate.
Yeah.
So this was perfect, and he, of course, he sold us all on the no money down strategies. And so that really took off from there. And, fast forward to today, I've been in housing ever since, on the public side, private side, commercial mixed use, multifamily, asset management, property management, and here we are today.
I love it. So you're watching Carlton Sheets. He's on late at night. Mm-hmm. You bought did you buy his CD set, or how a workbook? I can't remember how it used to work. Do you?
Oh man, you're asking me to dig now. I think it might have been CDs.
Okay.
Part of me thinking it might even been tape.
That's awesome.
With the workbook. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think it's amazing, and Carlton Sheets has really helped a lot of people. So that is an incredible thing. So like, your parents think you're off going to ODU. It's a great school, by the way. Yeah. Studying what?
Communication.
I knew it.
Yep.
Okay, that was my guess. So
yep.
You're studying communication. You watch late night TV. You see this guy named Carlton Sheets teaching about real estate. No money down.
Right.
You're like hooked, right?
Exactly. And it's interesting. I know we'll get into this a little bit later, but some of my thoughts about the no money down strategy is a little different today.
Yes.
Because to some degree there is money required. But of course it works then for us in some cases. Yeah.
So you got out of college and what happened? Did you start working for UPS? Is that what you said?
I did. They found me. I still don't know how to this day they did. And I ended up working for them for a year, but realized that my love was really in housing. And I knew that after I had started doing some work, under the Carlton Sheets sort of platform and got involved with Tidewater Real Estate Investors Group.
Yeah.
I knew then that that's really what I wanted to do, more so then on the property management side. But I said, I'll give it a try. And it was a great experience because, of course, UPS is really stellar at teaching you spin and teaching you how to sell, how to add value. They do it really well. So I learned a lot there that really informed my property management and, overall housing career.
And they found you the same way you find a motivated seller.
Yes, there you go.
For them, but you were ready for them. I love it.
Yep.
Good. So you started doing that. You worked at UPS. Then you went on to work for a property management company, which I think is great experience for anybody because you can practice being a landlord without needing your own houses.
Absolutely. And, I tell young folks today, some that don't believe I ever did that work, I actually started as a leasing consultant. I mean, I really did not know what I was doing. So they taught me everything that I knew when I got in there, how to lease, how to market, the basics. And then they began to teach me budgeting and understanding the budget, knowing what NOI is and all those sorts of indicators. And that's how I really got my start, and then from there, I was able to, get into managing some mixed use under the ArtCraft model. And then I also had an opportunity to do some work with some single family homes too and manage a large portfolio of single families for an investor. And then going to work with HUD. So it's really been a good journey.
And I think, for all of our listeners right now, a really good tip is to talk to property managers, network with them, and ask them if they have people and clients that are interested in selling the entire portfolio because they know who needs to sell, don't they?
Absolutely. And not only do they know who needs to sell, they can tell you some things about the property that it's not going to hit the marketing material. And they'll help you understand the property, before you make the offer, before you get into that deep due diligence that we have to do on multifamily.
Mm-hmm. So I think marketing to property managers is something everyone should take away because I think it's a good lead source.
Absolutely. Exactly. Yep.
So you did that for a while and then you worked at HUD and then what did you do?
Yep. So I was a contractor for HUD and basically I did compliance for about 35 properties across the state, all large properties around the state, making sure that they were in compliant with, of course, all of the compliance rules that HUD has for what they call Section 28202 properties and such. So from there, I said, I've got some experience on the private side, on the public side, but I really want to reach into the housing authority world because I had been studying it. And I knew that housing authorities across the country were changing, right? They were really morphing into more of an asset-based management model than they had ever been before. And HUD was going to start really holding them accountable for strong financials. So I knew that all this, all stuff I learned, I said, wow, I think we have an opportunity to really add value, right? So I applied for a position at Hopewell Redevelopment Housing Authority as their public housing director. Granted, I stepped into this with no public housing experience, but I knew.
Hopewell, Virginia?
Yes, Hopewell Redevelopment in Hopewell, Virginia, about 30 minutes away from Richmond, Virginia. And I said, I don't know public housing, but I do know where public housing is going. And HUD is going to need, folks like myself and others with more of an asset-based management experience to help them make the transition HUD is expecting. And it worked out. The gentleman before me who they had offered the position to didn't take it, wasn't enough money for him. I said, I'll take it. So I went in and really helped them make some changes in their operations. And I did that for about About 8 years.
Oh, it's a long time. So you got to really see behind the doors of Section 8 in a way none of us ever do.
Absolutely. Yep. Section 8, public housing, tax credit,
Yeah.
all those things that housing authorities are doing now.
Yeah, that's really neat. So, I mean, I've done some Section 8 and I have Section 8 residents and it's all been really good.
Hmm.
But I mean, you never see what goes on behind the door. So that was you for 8 years. That's amazing. What a great experience.
Absolutely. And it's much more complex than folks realize,
I'm sure.
particularly because, the funding for public housing is gone away. So HUD is no longer funding public housing as we knew it in the past. So
Mhm.
they're really looking for executive leadership to partner with the private industry
Yeah,
to redevelop, this aged housing stock that has so much deferred maintenance.
neat. So you did that for about 8 years. And then what did you do?
And then this is where the turning point
All right.
came.
Now's the time.
Yeah, this is where the turning point. So I tell you, I think about this often. I
Awesome.
took a vacation around the end of the 8th year.
Yeah,
I took a week vacation actually.
nice.
And during that time, I picked up a couple books. One book I picked up was The 4-Hour Work Week.
Oh, what a great book. It's a
Yep.
big book, but boy,
Yep.
it's a great book.
It's a great book. And the other one was John C. Maxwell, How Successful People Think.
Oh my,
And I'll share with you during that week of reading those books and looking at the Tax and Jobs Act and all that was going on, the changes with that. I said, I believe there's a better way, right, to support housing, to be in housing, but to do it in such a way that builds generational wealth, that builds financial freedom.
love it.
Because what's interesting is, I had contributed all these years in housing, to all this great work, reach executive level. And so you think that, I'm doing pretty well.
Right.
But the reality is, I looked over the landscape of my personal situation and said, I'm over 44% debt to income ratio. That's pretty high, right? And I know there are others experiencing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, where is this road, going to lead us to, right? So we'll be in this wheel for very, 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 very long time and end up retiring poor.
Right.
And this is the story of so many. And so I said, how can I make that transition to the business quadrant, into the investor quadrant, out of this employee quadrant, to better benefit my family and really have an impact on the community the way I really desire to do. And so the 4-Hour Work Week says to me, you need to change the way you work. And so what I was really doing, I was spending a lot of time trading, hours, for dollars.
Yeah.
So really, they call it present-based work. So I needed to go from present-based work to performance-based work. That was one of the big things I needed to do.
It's a big shift.
Right. I needed to make that shift.
Yeah.
And so during that period, I said, if I make this shift from present-based work to performance-based work, I can free up some time, and I can really focus on developing our real estate portfolio, developing our business, and living and changing our financial landscape, and helping others do the same.
Wow. So you wanted to start living life on your own terms and head
Absolutely.
towards generational wealth. I love it. That's
Absolutely.
to go through. How did you start putting those building blocks together? What did you do first?
So the first thing I did is I wrote a proposal to the Hopewell Redevelopment and Housing Authority.
Nice.
Because I knew that's the first place I had to start, you know. And Tim Ferriss's book really gave me that, you know, that helped me shift my thinking in that. And said, how can I develop a proposal that's going to benefit the housing authority, put Pay United in business, and allow us to take all this housing experience and apply it to making the shift, right? To start this journey. So I presented a proposal that says, Pay United Inc. Will become your consultant. And we will service the housing authority in the COO role, but with a limited basis, a limited time under certain parameters. And so it ended up freeing for me probably about 23 hours, you know, of time a week, you know, 23 hours a week. So
you started consulting with them?
I'm sorry, say that again, Jim?
You start consulting with the housing authority then?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's where the really big shift came in. That was the first step, is figuring how we can get over into this business quadrant. And so that's the first step that we did. And actually we're still consultants with them to this day. Yep. So that has worked out really well. And from there, we said, okay, we've done that step. What's the next stage? So we need to really take an assessment of our entire financial picture, see where we're at, you know, see where we're willing to minimize to maximize, you know, what are we going to let go? And during that time, we were living in a 4,100 plus square foot house in Hanover. Beautiful house, but it was just really eating up so much, you know, of our resources. And we had been in the house 2 years, and said, so we knew that if we sold it at this time, you know, we wouldn't have to pay any capital gains tax.
Nice position.
Yep, well positioned. And the market was really good at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Over there in the Rutland area of Hanover. And so so we sold and got out from under that. Didn't make much off of it, about $5,000, but we were happy. You know, we were free and clear. Yep. And that's where we started our journey. And we said, you know, we're going to sell this house. We're going to maintain our consultancy contract with the housing authority so we can have the best financial position in terms of taxes. And we're going to buy an apartment building, and we're going to live in one unit. We're going to rent the rest. We're going to provide people the best housing that they can possibly, you know, afford for the dollar. And we're going to continue to build from there. And that income will cover, you know, all our personal expenses, and help us to pay down debt and really begin this journey of living the life we desire and teaching other people how to do the same.
Love it. So you started house hacking.
Yep. Now, I tell you what, you know, folks laugh at me. I call it apartment hacking, actually.
Okay.
Because house hacking is a little different. And I know that the term has been coined house hacking, and it includes 1 to 4 units.
I like apartment hacking.
But apartment hacking is, for us, is really where it is. And we think that's really where the most value is.
Yeah.
Because what we've learned since we've started our apartment hack is there's really values in economies of scale, right? And so if you just live in a house and you rent, you know, a couple of bedrooms and such, you know, that works. The management to me is tougher on that. You know, and who wants to be in their 30s and 40s, you know?
Like being down the ODU, right?
Right. I mean, let's just face it, right? And so it's more intensive management, in my opinion, and it just doesn't provide to me the same sort of, you know, financial leverage as you can when you start to go up. And so house hacking to me is just that, right? It's living in a house, renting some bedrooms. But apartment hacking is truly when you're living in one apartment and you're renting the other apartment.
So how did you buy your first place? You started apartment hacking. Mm-hmm. Where did you buy, and how many units were in the building, and how did it work out?
So it worked out pretty well. We found a 4-unit behind Virginia Union University.
Nice.
And it's interesting how we came to this. It was on market initially, so it was listed initially. Then some tough negotiations. Then it came off market. He just, the buyer said, "I'll forget it," and he just took it off market. But I was talking with our realtor, and I was like, you know what, we just got to keep on talking to him. Let's just keep having a conversation. And so we just didn't let up. And then eventually, things worked out, and we were able to acquire it at 255 back in 2018. And as we know, looking at what 4 units are going for today, and even that time, this is pretty good deal. And we knew that this particular property was in the path of development. And so we were looking at that as part of the value add, that we wanted to be in a place where we could be part of the turnaround, part of the change.
Gentrification and the appreciation that comes along with it.
Absolutely. Yep. And we knew from the market studies we did that we could raise the rents about $200 after a small value add.
Always the key is to raise those rents. I love it. So you bought this, how many years back was this?
This was in 2018.
Okay, just a couple years ago.
Yes.
All right,
yes.
So you guys move in. Are you still there now?
We are.
Okay, awesome. And the other 3 rents cover your mortgage and taxes and insurance, I'm sure, right?
Exactly. Absolutely. With a little extra, even with us living in it.
Nice.
Yep. And
created freedom, right? How would you describe that? Going from some people, I agree with you, like minimalize and create freedom to me is a lot more than just people pretending to be well off because they live in a 4,000 square foot house. That freedom path that you chose, how would you describe the impact it's made on your life looking back over the last 2 years?
Oh my God, it's I tell you, it would take me really an hour really to talk about how life-changing it has been. Just in terms of, my husband and I have been able to really focus on what matters. And so it's less about the upkeep of this big house that we have. And it's really more about us focusing on now, how can we help others do it as we do, because we really understand the value this can be for other families. And since we're not so debt burdened, I mean, we literally went from around the high 40s, right, in DTI, that's the income ratio, to now we're around the low 20s. And by January, we'll be in around 10% or less debt to income ratio. So us being able to do that now means we're able to give more. Right. So we give more to things that matter to us, like the Virginia Housing Alliance and things that help us help the community create more affordable housing and do more advocacy around housing needs. But it also means too that we can spend more, more money on things like education. So one of the things that folks really sometimes tell me they struggle with is they don't have the money to learn, and really focus on learning this business. One, you don't necessarily need that, but it does help, right? And so now we have, the resources to be able to do those things and get educated. And also, I think just some of the other things too, now we're able to put more money into creating the fund that we want to create that puts financial literacy in schools. So that's a huge thing. And so we're able to set aside dollars for that, and that falls under the Pay United Foundation. So that's just a little glimpse of the many things that you can do once you become, free. And we're not at, zero yet, but we've come down tremendously from 43% to getting ready to be under 10. And so you're just able to do things that you really couldn't even think about doing when you're so ridden with, with debt.
Love it. Good for you. So what have you been doing since you moved into the quad, real estate wise? What do you do as we progress through 2020, and what does life look like?
Oh my goodness. So, so now This experience has opened up so many doors for us now. Uh, More folks are contacting us about how to do this and how to do it well, and do it in a way that they can take advantage of course, the financial benefits, but enjoy the same sort of lifestyle benefits too, and how to do it in a sustainable way. So we're getting more calls about that. So I'm spending some time.
A listener says, I want to connect with Madelyn Peay and talk about how to do this. What's the best way to connect?
Oh, just reach me on payunited.org under the Contact Us tab, and I'll be glad to chat with you.
You and I connected through Twitter, of all things, by the way. You've got quite a Twitter presence.
Yep, I do. You can find us on all the platforms, but I do spend most of my time on Twitter. It's just, easiest for me to say a few words and get in and then, get going for the day. So I like that platform. But you were saying something about what else we're doing. And so we have been presented with opportunities to fund student co-housing. So we're looking to do that in the next few months. We're excited about that. Of course, that's not our main thing. We're apartment hackers at heart. So we're looking for another quad to buy. But sometimes when opportunities present themselves, sometimes and the numbers look good, you got to say why not. And so we're going to go through with that probably the next couple months. So we're excited about that, and also I've teamed up with a company called Nassau Investments, and we're looking to buy 50-unit buildings and communities and up, with some value add opportunity in those as well. And so, just this experience has opened up so many doors, but we do try to stay true to what we do, which is, is apartment hacking, because we really believe at the end of the day, that's what's going to help most people that we communicate with.
Well, becoming debt-free in your personal life really is truly life-changing. I agree with that. And that piece of Dave Ramsey, I completely agree with. I do think leveraging real estate's great. I don't have any problem with that, but good debt, bad debt. And I think it's a great mission that you're on.
Thank you. Thank you.
So again, if somebody wants to reach out to you, it's payunited.org.
It is.
Right?
Payunited.org.
Fill out that contact form, it goes to you, and then you can help them out.
Certainly. And what I like to do, I'm pretty informal, so I just like to, have a conversation with you. If this was pre-COVID, I'd be meeting you at Ternera or Elwood Thompson here locally. But now I do a lot of what they call, what we're doing now, web meetings and Zooms and GoTo. And so, I link up with folks on GoToMeeting platform that we have. We just have a discussion about where you are in your life. Not just financially, but otherwise, because a lot of the other things in our lives impact our financial decisions. And so we have a discussion about that and really figure out if the person is ready to start this apartment hacking journey. And if you're not, that's okay. A lot of people aren't ready, but they want to change their lives. And so we'll work with you to help you get to that point where you're ready to start. Because I always tell folks, no matter what you see on TV, it requires money and it requires work, and you've got to be ready for that. And to be successful, you've just got to have the right mindset, and you've got to be ready in other areas of your life to do so. And we'll help you get there.
I can tell your mindset is strong. You and I read a lot of the same books, so I love that.
Good
All right.
stuff.
I really appreciate your sharing today. Our time is about up, but everyone should reach out to Madelyn and talk to her about how to do it, because there's some details you need to understand in order to pull it off. But it's kind of nice to have no living expense on the housing side. So why not move into a 3-unit, a 2-unit, or a 6 or 8 unit? Let someone else pay for all your mortgage and all your interest, all your insurance, and all your taxes, because that becomes very freeing for the rest of your life. You can then, live the rest of the life any way that you want. I always say, if you're willing to spend 5 years doing things sort of the hard way, you might have the rest of your life to do it the easy way. Nobody generally chooses the 5 tough years first, but I really recommend it. It is life-changing. Madelyn, thanks for being my guest today and sharing your apartment hacking journey. It's been great to see, and thanks for inspiring other people to follow you and do the same thing.
Thanks again for having me anytime.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for all your comments, your questions. Leave them there. We'll get to them. Shares and iTunes reviews. You guys are all fantastic. Thanks.
Thanks.